Ha, 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 aha. Hello, I'm Scott. Welcome to the Movie Reviewers 100. I am also known on YouTube as Cineram. I do the Thursday reviews for this collaboration channel, and this week is DC Comics Week. So, of course, I wore my Joker t-shirt, which I won on a YouTube contest. I'm afraid James in his video was under the mistaken impression that we're doing exclusively DC animated movies. That was not something that was agreed on ahead of time. Otherwise, I would be reviewing the animated Wonder Woman movie from 2009 that Kerry Russell and Nathan Fillion did voice work on. I wanted to talk about some of the Superman movies instead. By the way, James was very helpful in helping me determine other movies aside from Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern that fall under the DC label, movies like Watchmen and Steel and Road to Perdition, actually, a graphic novel. So thank you, James, for that. James is a great guy, and he actually owns a comic book store, which is very, very cool. He got a little look at it in his video. If you haven't seen his video, which he posted a couple days ago, you ought to check it out. It's very cool. He talked, of course, about a movie called, I think, Justice League: The New Frontier. And prior to that, Al, who started off our theme, did a movie called Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, in which Lex Luthor is president of the United States. Funny coincidence, I happened to pick up a graphic novel, which I'd like to show to you, called Red Sun. This book basically is about what would have happened if instead of landing in Kansas when he was a baby, having traveled here from Krypton, Superman landed in Russia. And so he grows up under the communist regime and he serves that good, and more countries fall under the communist rule because, you know, hello, Superman is its biggest advocate. But over in the United States, Lex Luthor eventually becomes president of the United States, and he whips the economy into shape, and he starts, you know, taking over other countries or making them come to democracy. So it becomes a battle of wills between these two guys. Killer ending to this book too. Unbelievable ending. I was just totally amazed. I've read this twice now. It's a very good book. Very, very good book. Lots of great twists on the classic DC characters like Wonder Woman and Batman and Green Lantern. We see each of them sort of affected by this new sort of twist in the storytelling. It's pretty awesome. So, the movies that I wanted to talk about, well, actually, I originally was basically going to review Superman Returns, which is the Bryan Singer kind of sort of sequel to Superman's 1 and 2 starring Christopher Reeve, which came out in the late 70s, early 80s. But when I decided I'm going to talk about the movie, but I'd like to compare it to Man of Steel, which came out last summer, I'd only seen Man of Steel one time, so I decided to rent that and watch that again. And I didn't initially like it very much. And watching it again, I still can't say that I really recommend the movie. There's stuff that I like about it in regards to the characters, in regards to some of the new variations they've made on the Superman myth. Yeah, I found it a little confusing the first time around, but this time I had a good handle on it. I do have a few issues with it, though. The first of which is that Superman's powers and other Kryptonian powers don't really seem consistent. The rules just seem kind of weird. Superman, of course, comes from Krypton, a planet that had a red sun. The reason why he has superpowers is because he lives on Earth, which has a yellow sun, and the radiation from the yellow sun makes him stronger and faster, and he, you know, was just, everything about him is just like better. So logically, it follows that Kryptonians, when they arrive on our planet, ought to have the same powers, and they do have strength. But the weird thing is that when Clark was a little kid, he had trouble controlling his X-ray vision and super hearing. It's like he could hear everything and he could see through everything, and he couldn't control it, and he got really scared when he was a little kid about that. But with the Kryptonians, once they arrive on Earth, they don't have that problem until they start breathing Earth atmosphere. They remain on their ship, they're breathing Kryptonian atmosphere. And then they walk around in like spacesuits on Earth, that allows them to keep breathing that air. But when they, get their helmets removed for them by the Band of Steel, then they start having this problem whereby they can't control their X-ray vision, what have you. I'm just like, what's that? I thought that the powers came from the sun, rather than the air. That doesn't make any sense. The other thing that doesn't make any sense is that Clark starts having these problems with his powers when he's about 10, 11, 12 years old. And he really should have been having those powers since he was like a baby, right? I mean, he's a little kid, he comes to Earth, he's just very, very, tiny still, but he's already got those powers because of the yellow sun. It just doesn't make any sense that he's, that he doesn't develop them until he hits puberty. That's like X-Men, okay? X-Men, those characters, their mutations, their powers, they come out around puberty. It's not the same with Superman. It doesn't make sense. The guy is not a mutant. He's an alien, okay? He's not from here. So yeah, those kinds of things really didn't work for me. And also, once the supervillains arrive and they start smashing the place to pieces, I mean, just half of Kansas gets, of Smallville gets obliterated. And then, of course, they move to Metropolis and they level that place. For the most part. It really is overkill in my book. And I'm not the only one who feels this way. It's just like so incredibly destructive, and so many people die, and so many buildings and structures are lost. It's just like, I mean, even with that first Kansas battle, it's just like, Superman comes along, and he actually does the first bit of destruction when he hammers into one of the Kryptonians and smashes through several buildings across several square miles. I'm just like, dude, up north, there's nobody around, there with all the ice and the mountains and everything like that. Why not grab these guys and just throw them up there, right? What's the problem? Why put all these innocent people in danger? There's actually kind of a missed opportunity there as far as interacting with the human characters, because as the story goes in the Man of Steel movie, some kids on the bus that Clark was riding on were in danger of drowning when the bus falls into the river, and so Clark pulls it out, and everyone goes like, how the heck did that happen? Did Clark have something to do with that? And the kid that he saves, the bully that he saved, the fat redhead kid, he's just like, he sort of ends up being grateful, I think, to Clark. In a later scene, it shows him being like, yeah, I'm cool with you, Clark. I know that you're different in some way, but you saved my life, so we're good. So in the modern day scenes, when Clark is fighting the Kryptonians and they smash into the IHOP, and the redheaded kid is the manager of the IHOP, it would have been really nice if they had a quick moment right there where he looks at him and goes, in a Superman outfit, having smashed through the walls, and goes, oh, hi, Clark. How's it going? And Clark could again, good to see you, Billy. Excuse me. And then takes off, and it would have been a little nice Reeve moment there. Of course, as far as actors who play Superman, I don't think anybody will be as good as Christopher Reeve. Not for me, anyway. I grew up with Christopher Reeve playing Superman. As far as I'm concerned, he is the guy. He was the guy to play Superman. And although Brandon Routh, who's the star of Superman Returns, made a good Clark, and what I've seen so far of Henry Cavill is fine, it's just hard to put anyone else in that part. Of course, we've had Tom Welling and Dean Cain play him on television shows, and of course, before Christopher Reeve, he had other actors and play him in serials and on television, of course. But really, Christopher Reeve is sort of irreplaceable. So anyone who tries making a Superman movie now is at a disadvantage as far as I'm concerned, because no Christopher Reeve. On the other hand, the best actor that I have seen play Lex Luthor is Kevin Spacey, who, of course, worked with Bryan Singer on The Usual Suspects and won an Oscar for that movie, and so Bryan Singer got him to play Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. Very good choice right there, Mr. Singer. Kevin Spacey makes an excellent Lex Luthor, and probably one of my favorite moments of the movie is where he's telling Lois, who's there with her son, about his plan, to rid the world of Superman once and for all and grow his own continent using Kryptonian crystals, and how he's going to infuse the mountain with kryptonite. He's got a little, cylinder of kryptonite that he's going to use to prevent Superman from stopping him. And as he walks closer, of course, the kid reacts to the kryptonite, and Lex Luthor looks at him and he goes, who is this boy's father? And Lois Lane, played by Kate Bosworth, says, Richard White. Richard White, of course, is the son of Perry White. He's played by James Marsden, who also worked with Bryan Singer in the X-Men movies. He played Cyclops. And Kevin Spacey looks at her and goes, really? And then one of his henchmen comes on the radio and says, Luthor, we've arrived at the coordinates. And Lex says to Lois Lane, are you sure? And his henchman goes, yes, sir, we've confirmed it. Nice way of avoiding the answer there. Of course, the kid turns out to be a little bit special because he manages to throw a piano at one of Lex's henchmen. So it seems that, yes, he did in fact, Clark did in fact father that kid. And that grows out of the whole idea of Superman Returns being a direct sequel to Superman 1 and 2, because, you know, being a kid back then, I really didn't understand exactly how babies are made when I watched the movie. It's not like I hadn't seen the film since then, but seeing the movie again as an adult sort of drove the whole point home. Oh, wait a minute, Clark gave up his powers because he wanted to bed Lois Lane. It wasn't like he just loved her and wanted to love her and marry her. No, he wanted to have sex with her. There we go. So yeah, so obviously something happened back in the day, and now Lois has a son, and she says to him, he's a little fragile, but he's going to grow up to be big and strong just like his father. Good one. Superman Returns on the whole is a movie that tries to be very, very faithful to the Richard Donner films, particularly 1 and 2. I know Donner didn't actually direct 2, but he directed parts of it, you know, and the whole sort of tone for Superman 1 and 2 is very similar. They're like, you know, it's kind of like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 for me. You know, each can be some sort of standalone movie, but really it's sort of the charting the evolution of Clark's relationship with Lois. And I think Superman 2 has some really good scenes with just the two of them. Some people have said, and I agree with this, that Christopher Reeve, when he was playing Superman in those movies, was essentially playing 3 characters. One, he was playing the persona of Clark, the clumsy, you know, guy who was sort of naive. And then he was playing the public Superman, who's like, you know, really stoic and everything like that, and pronounces things, doesn't really talk to people, but pronounces things and flies around and saves people. But then there's, of course, the real person where he just relates to people normally, like with his parents, his mother, and of course with Lois once she discovers his real identity. So we don't get a lot of that in Superman Returns because he's playing the persona of Clark, having come from traveling all over the world to find himself or something like that. And of course the persona of Superman, who's actually been flying off to Krypton to see if there are any survivors or anything left, and then arrives back on Earth without any real answers. So he gets his job back at the Daily Planet, of course, and immediately there's trouble involving Lex stealing you know, the crystals and causing earthquakes, and when Lois goes to investigate, she gets in trouble because she finds him on his elderly ex-wife's yacht, or his late wife's yacht. Lex married an old woman for, you know, her fabulous amounts of wealth and money, and of course the yacht, which has a helicopter pad built onto it, and a helicopter, which he needs in order to get to the North Pole and find Superman's Fortress of Solitude so he can get the crystals. Very, very elaborate plan there, Lex. But the one thing that is a problem with Lex's plan is that he wants to basically grow a mountain that will sort of eliminate most of the eastern half of North America. His plan basically is to create land that he can then sell to people and make money. And I'm thinking to myself, Luthor, you're supposed to be a criminal genius. Who is going to live on this mountain? First of all, billions of people are going to die, which he is perfectly aware of. When this Kryptonian mountain is thrown out of the ocean and causes the eastern seaboard of North America to collapse, do you think anyone's actually going to pay you to live here? There's no electricity, there's no utilities, no buildings are built, it's just this huge, massive, ugly rock. Honestly, Lex, I mean, you didn't really think this through, did you? It's not a good plan. And therefore, I can't really say that Superman Returns is a really good movie because of that. Also, it's extremely slow-paced. It's a very, very sort of reverential to the earlier movies. And it really is just like, again, trying to replicate that feel. In doing so, it really sort of loses spirit, I think. You know, there's that spirit that's missing from it just because it's so very, very respectful. But the one thing that I really liked about Superman Returns, aside from Kevin Spacey being cast as Lex Luthor, is the climax. And here's how Superman Returns, another advantage over Man of Steel, is that Superman Returns is more of a restrained movie than Man of Steel. Man of Steel has kind of a similar problem to the Avengers and Transformers 3, in which there's an incredible amount of destruction. And the heroes do everything they can to stop the bad guys and save people, but really there's no avoiding the fact that lots and lots of innocent people got killed. Whereas in Superman Returns, before the mountain gets too big, Superman flies underneath it and pushes the entire mountain up out of the Atlantic Ocean and into the sky and into space, where it won't harm anyone. And during this climax, you know, I wasn't really thinking about anything other than the fact that this mountain was too big and too heavy and too filled with kryptonite for Superman to actually lift. And I'm sitting there holding my breath going, he can't do it, he can't do it, it's just too much. And he's pushing that thing higher and higher, and slowly goes up in the sky, and finally he gets out of Earth's gravity and the thing floats away, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, thanks so much. So I was totally on board with what was happening at that point. And everything that happens in the film after that, the closing scenes, I was just like, you know, very, very involved emotionally. Because Superman is one of my favorite superheroes. He has been for a long time. He's that, you know, sort of like incredible thing that you'd really like to be, at least that I'd really like to be able to fly around on him, to be impervious, to do all kinds of stuff like that is, you know, a great fantasy, to be able to have the ability to do what Superman does. So although I have a lot of reservations about Superman Returns, can't really recommend it, I do enjoy certain aspects of it. And I enjoy some aspects of Man of Steel, and I'm hoping that the new one is better. But I see a lot of problems with the new one. Zack Snyder is not one of my favorite directors, and he's made like maybe 2 movies that I like, which would be the Dawn of the Dead remake and 300. And I haven't really liked anything else that he's done enough to recommend it. You've got Jesse Eisenberg playing Luthor. I'm not like against that or anything like that. I think it could be interesting. I like Jesse Eisenberg. But you've got Ben Affleck as Superman, and I'm just thinking to myself, you know, I don't know. I just don't know about that. You know, I mean, maybe he'll prove me wrong, but really it doesn't seem to have like the gravitas of someone to really be that intimidating. You know, it's not like he can't get angry. We've seen him get angry in a movie like Dogma. He has a great scene in Dogma where he's ranting against God's decision to favor the human race over all of his other angels and everything like that, and leave him and Loki out in the cold, Loki being the Archangel played by Matt Damon. But as far as playing Batman goes, you know, I just don't know about that. He can probably play a great Bruce Wayne, you know, and look really kind of silly at times, which Bruce Wayne does intentionally. But Batman, I don't know about. Someone suggested that a really good guy to play Bruce Wayne in this new movie would be Timothy Olyphant, who is the star of Justified and played the bad guy in Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard. And I thought, hey, that would be awesome. Timothy Olyphant's a really good actor. He's got that edge. He's got that sort of slightly scary quality to him. He would make a great Bruce Wayne and Batman. But hey, we got Ben Affleck instead. We've got Jeremy Irons playing Alfred. We've got Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman. So that's what we have to look forward to in Man of Steel 2, It's a Dark Knight Thing, or whatever it is that they'll call it. So yeah, not really a strict review this week. I just want to talk a little bit about Superman, about what's been going on with him the last few years. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you check out the other guys. We've got a new theme starting tomorrow. Please check out our Facebook page to comment and suggest more themes, because we're totally open to hearing any suggestions you guys have about that. Thanks again for watching. See you again real soon.